IGN has announced that they're going to be kicking off a Summer of Gaming event in June, right around the time that E3 would have normally been happening, to fill in, to catch all the eyeballs of all the people that, are the entire industry that would normally be getting a bunch of announcements around that time. Brilliant move. I think this is absolutely ingenious. And IGN is actually, IGN is one of maybe two organizations that's actually large enough to pull this off, right? Really, IGN and GameSpot are the two big established gaming sites that actually have the capacity that, even with everyone working from home, they have the channels, they have the apps on all these different platforms, they have the framework to actually put together a real, live stream event, no joke, in a way that nobody else really can. We often think of Polygon, Kotaku, Joystick, and stuff like there is this pantheon of gaming news outlets, but it remains the case that IGN and GameSpot are really kind of in this tier above everyone else, just because they have been around. They've been the biggest the longest, right? I guess Vice probably could be at that level if they wanted to, but their gaming, they haven't really put that monetary push into their gaming content. Anyway, none of that matters. IGN. So what's this event? Well, the idea, as far as I can tell, is literally to try and recreate the experience of E3. And so they've already announced that they've got a bunch of partners. They've got 2K, Square Enix, Sega, Bandai Namco, Amazon, Google, Stadia. They've got Twitter that's going to be there, Devolver, THQ Nordic, and more. Great. Bunch of publishers. And let's not forget that IGN is themselves a publisher. They wouldn't like me wording it that way, but they own Humble, which is it's a publisher. They publish their own games. And I imagine that if you were an indie game currently having an agreement with Humble, this would be a great announcement, because if this is E3, then you're going to get a lot more attention in E3 than you would have normally got. There's a couple interesting points, okay? Note there the inclusion of Amazon and Google, who I am expecting, this might be a theme as the channel continues. I think that on the subject of companies taking advantage of the catastrophes going on this year, Amazon and Google I expect to be very high up there. But also the specific inclusion of Devolver, this reminds me of, I believe it was last year or the year before, that another outlet, PC Gamer, traditionally a magazine, they put together a press conference specifically for PC games, and I believe they partnered with Devolver, if I'm not mistaken. And that brought up the kind of complicated thing, okay? E3 as an event put on by the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, I'm pretty sure. And the ESA becoming ever more useless of an organization as time goes on, E3 becoming more and more pathetic an event even before any of this stuff was going on. Now, in the fact that they announced, in this big, that even before all this was going on, Jeff Keighley loudly stepped aside. They announced they were going to partner with I Am 8-Bit. I Am 8-Bit loudly stepped aside. And then the ESA says, oh, don't worry, we're going to do a live stream thing the same way that GDC did, the same way that Microsoft did with GameStack during that week of GDC. We're going to do our own thing. We're just getting it together. And then IGN announces this. And so now who cares what the ESA is doing? However, the ESA, regardless of their efficacy within the games industry, they're a neutral organization with regards to media outlets. IGN has competitors, right? Way beyond merely just having like, well, I'm just noticing they don't have a single, other than Google, they don't have a single platform holder. Never mind that. They don't have Microsoft, Nintendo, or Sony announced, as far as I could tell, as partners, but probably they'll do something. Well, Nintendo will do their direct anyway. But way beyond the console competitors, keep in mind that the outlets that we go to get our news from, they compete with each other, right? GameSpot, IGN, PC Gamer, Polygon, Vice, etc. When PC Gamer put together that press conference, I think it was last year, whenever that was, one of the weird things that came out of that was that it got substantially less coverage than the other press conferences, because news outlets didn't want to give a bunch of free advertising to PC Gamer, their main competitor, right? They're not going to do, they're going to do a token amount of coverage because there might be interesting announcements and it's whatever. But I think a lot of the games that were involved in that press conference were hoping, it was probably pitched to them, like, hey, we're going to have a PC press conference the same way that there is a Switch, a PlayStation, and an Xbox press conference. And this is great. You're a PC game. You're going to love being a part of this. It actually might have had an overall detrimental effect because any of that money that was put into those announcements, put on all those things, you know, if there's a giant PC Gamer logo thing going on, GameSpot's not going to want to cover it. IGN's not going to want to cover it. Polygon's not going to want to cover it because they don't want, Polygon doesn't want a bunch of people that their readers going like, oh, maybe I'll check out this PC Gamer website. Looks pretty good, right? Obviously not. Whereas covering the Microsoft press conference, covering the Sony press conference, covering all that stuff, that's fine because Polygon's whole business model is catering to people that are interested in Microsoft, Sony platforms, etc. So, while I think that it's a brilliant move that IGN is doing this, and I'll certainly be watching the same way that I watched GameStack and the GDC, those GDC Twitch streams. And I mean, for me, like me and my fellow, like, the losers of the game development, in the indie game space, who couldn't have afforded to go to GDC in the first place. We loved it. We loved the GDC thing the same way that probably myself and, a lot of other people would love a digital E3, getting to experience all that's for most of us. That's how we've always experienced E3, but whatever. This is fun. I don't think like one of the things IGN announced was like, you'll be able to vote on your favorite announcements. I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my time with that. But whatever, there's tons of fans of IGN. I don't mean to belittle that, right? If it was Giant Bomb doing this, I'd be there the whole time. But I'm still I'll be watching this summer more IGN content than probably any other time in my life, since they did that McDonald's promotion in like 1999 or whenever that was. Regardless, you get my point. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this. This is chaos is a ladder, as they say. And I think a lot of companies are going to use this period of time to, if you have the framework, if you have the resources to do it, here's a chance to put your brand front and center, as far as E3 goes. There's probably a lot of people in the same boat as me that'll be watching IGN content in a way that we never have any other E3. I just wonder if, for these partners, not these guys, not 2K or Square Enix, but Devolver, for the indie group, I wonder if being involved with this won't similarly be a bit underwhelming with regards to having a big media splash, dominating the headlines across the entire internet. But once again, I'll just say this may come up again, everyone, I draw your attention to Amazon and Google Stadia being right in there with this. Particularly with Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo not being there. Because if we're being honest, what announcement would they make? The only announcement that the three of them really have Nintendo doesn't have anything. Respectfully, I love Nintendo, but they don't have a new console. What are Microsoft and Sony going to announce? Oh, we're delayed until March of next year. How exciting, right? They're not going to do that. Particularly not if IGN is putting all their weight into having a big platform for them to say that on. Microsoft and Sony have their own outlets to let their customers know that they're going to be delayed. But if all these people are tuning in, now is the perfect time for Google and Amazon to say, oh, you're not getting your console in time? Well, guess what we've got? Although, we know what Google has. I don't know what the heck Amazon has. They're working on that weird MMO. That frightens me. Amazon frightens me, and their game frightens me in a way that, what was it, the New World, I think? Let me look that up. Yeah, New World. Terrifying. But IGN's doing this thing. It's in June. I'll be tuning in. And, yeah. Until then, see you tomorrow.